Hi, everyone. I am Stephanie with Nine Health. We are joining you once again, talking about our mental health during this coronavirus crisis. I'm joined via Zoom by Michelle Fury, a licensed professional counselor and a licensed yoga therapist. She's going to give us lots of great tips today on being calm. I asked in the description if you're stuck at home with your family, are you guys still getting along? She's also a couples counselor, does family counseling, so she's going to give us some tips for getting along with everyone and kind of keeping the peace in the house while we are all hanging out maybe more than we're used to hanging out with each other. While we all love each other, there might be some tension going on. First, I need to mention that during this time, we have several partners that are helping us. So I just muted myself 1 second. We have several partners that are helping us kind of deliver all this content to you. One is Well Advised. They offer tools to make Medicare and healthcare less confusing. You can manage your care needs and health spending all in one place for free. Go to welladvised.com to learn more about that. And also, we usually have Nine Health expert Dr. Pal Coley on with us. She's not able to join us today, but if you have a medical question, you can call our new Nine Health Neighbors line, we have medical volunteers staffing that, and they'll give you a call back within 24 hours. Just call, ask a question, leave a message, and they will call you back, a real live person. It's 303-698-4455, extension 2005. I'll put that number in the comments as well when we get done here, but give that Nine Health Neighbors line a call if you have any questions about the coronavirus that you want answered. All right, Michelle, thank you for joining me today.
You're so welcome.
So during this time, many of us may feel anxious, even if we're not normally an anxious person. Give us some of your tips for staying calm.
Yeah, it's been, last week kind of reminded me of being in a hurricane. So I'm from South Florida, and seeing the streets deserted and the shelves deserted, it reminded me of that preparation. So that was last week, but this week it reminds me more of being in like a long running race or at a meditation retreat, because they both take a lot of endurance. And that's what I'm noticing now, is that people are feeling worried about, like, well, how long is this going to last? And quite honestly, those questions come up if you do any endurance sports or if you've ever meditated. And so it's good to first just be real about the fact that, you know what, this is stressful. Because what I hear people saying when I'm talking to them this week, kids and adults, is, I shouldn't be feeling stressed out. I shouldn't be feeling this way. And it's good to just give yourself permission. You know what? This is stressful, or I don't know how to feel, or I feel confused, or I feel angry, whatever it is, let yourself feel it. And so there's a method we learned when I was in grad school and on meditation retreats called touch and go, where you kind of touch into like how you're feeling and then let it go. So first you really acknowledge it, and it gives us information about what we should do to let it go. If we're feeling angry, we might want to do something that allows us to get out some of that energy, whether it's go for a run, take the dog for a walk, do some yoga. If instead you're feeling sad, you might want to do something that is calming and helps you just think of the positive things. And for some of us, if we're just doing this roller coaster of feeling angry, sad, depressed, and it's like a roller coaster of emotions, then it's good to just do something distracting. Watch, have a like Friends binge, like watch Friends for 5 episodes. Or apparently Netflix now has something called Netflix Party. And so some of my teens are saying that they're hopping on, watching a movie together, and then they can leave comments. So touching into how you feel, and then just like let it go.
Yeah, I think, that's great advice. Just really kind of being aware, mindful of the feelings that you're going on. We've been talking a little bit about mindfulness this week as well. So just being mindful of how you feel and kind of going from there. So again, we're joined by Michelle Fury. She's a licensed professional counselor. She's a yoga therapist as well. She's helping us get a hold of our mental health feelings today. We've talked about this all week, and she's one of our experts that we're tapping into. So go ahead and ask your questions. Again, if you have a medical question, you can call our Nine Health Neighbors line, 303-698-4455, extension 2005. You can also comment with your medical questions if you have them, and I can get Dr. Palfley to answer those later as well. But if you have any questions for Michelle, please ask those and we will ask her. So you do couples counseling, and I put this kind of in the description. Are you getting along with your family still if you're cooped up together? Maybe spending more time together than you usually do, which is a good thing, but maybe a stressful, tense thing as well. There's been a few stories this week out that divorces are expected to be on the rise after the self-isolation period, which is terrible to think about. But can you offer some advice for couples who may be spending more time than usual together right now?
Yeah. Well, actually, it goes back to this whole idea of touch and go, that couples can feel really scared to name that there's a problem because they feel like if they say, hey, you're getting on my nerves, that's a bad thing. Like that should never happen. But one of the things we learn in couples counseling is it's okay. If you're going to be together for the long haul, there's a good chance at some point you're going to rub up against each other and be annoyed in some way. So letting that be okay and kind of having a talk about that before it becomes a big problem. So then once you do that, there's a number of different things. Sometimes if we're super upset with our mate, we need to take space. We need to go, you know what, I'm going to go take the dog for a walk. You just do what you're going to do. And it's really important. This comes from this idea of emotion focused therapy, which is an idea. It's actually an evidence-based method, but they talk about when you take that break, we can have the tendency to then talk to ourselves about all the things our mate does that we don't like. And it's better instead to think about what's your piece of it, or just to enjoy the distraction of being outside or wherever you're at, to just totally take a break. If instead it's just those mild little, irritations that are coming up, it might be good to plan a night where you spend some time just giving each other some gratitude. Hey, 3 things I really appreciate about you. I love how funny you were with the dog and how that totally helped our toddler come out of his tantrum kind of thing. Hey, I really appreciate that you made dinner. Hey, I really appreciate it that you told me thank you for, whatever it is. So some of those, that balancing act of, once again, like touching into how you're feeling, letting it be okay. Of course, we're having a hard time. And those things our mate does that usually we can push aside because we're going out to have like girls' night or something, or hang with the guys, we can't do. So we can still get space and we can offer gratitude.
Yeah, just kind of, and at least, I mean, I'm working from home right now. My husband is home, not working right now because he's temporarily lost his job, but like finding just a separate space in the house has helped us. Like, well, I need to go do some work, so I'm going to head to my space. And then later, it's just like going to work still. So we're able to still get a little bit of space from each other. I think that that's maybe helping us. Someone did ask, and I was going to ask for this as well about, just family, kids home from school's canceled right now, but someone did ask any tips for helping young kids, just kind of in general. So I'll let you answer.
Young kids. So I know you were talking about toddlers earlier. So with them, and actually this is true for a lot of age groups, including the teens. Sometimes we as adults, because we're stressed about something, we expect our kiddo is going to be stressed too. Even if they are stressed, they may be stressed about very different things. So kind of letting them lead the way and tell you, hey, mommy, I'm having a problem with this, and then talking with them. So that's actually a really important thing for all age groups. And so unfortunately, we've had, a few incidents here in Colorado with school shootings where we've gotten kind of good at recognizing the signs in our kiddos, because sometimes they don't say it, but we can see it. If they're feeling irritable or they're getting snippy, then it might be a sign that they need some extra help from you. And it doesn't mean you even have to bring up the topic of, hey, are you scared? You could if you felt like it was appropriate, but you can also just get them engaged in really physical activities. So especially for the younger kids who don't have the language yet, their brains aren't fully developed, which is appropriate, they're not thinking in these big abstract ways we are. If we engage the body, it really helps to calm the nervous system. And also if we get our kiddos like running around in the yard or going for a walk with the dog or going for a bike ride, it can help us to, as adults, to also calm our nervous systems in sync with each other.
Yeah, you mentioned on your website that just talking about what your expertise is. I read today that to think about kids and adults, we're really more similar than we are different in that way. Like it's going to help me mentally to get outside, so probably going to help your kid mentally to get outside.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 4-month-old and a 4-year-old, and I was on a mommy blog, and someone was saying, my baby's melting down. What do I do? And someone had suggested either put them in water or go outside. So take a bath, swim, something, or go outside and do something. And it's been a great tip for me whenever I think about, my toddler even melting down or my baby's inconsolable, like let's go outside or let's take a bath, let's do something, do something else.
Water, and you think about it, like water is a very visceral thing. Like we feel water and it has a very calming effect on our nervous system. Actually, that just reminded me of a mindfulness activity you can do anywhere. And especially with kids, you can play it as a game. And we call it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so you're using all 5 of the senses. And so we start with the sense that's the easiest, which is for us as humans, it's seeing. So 5 things you see. And so you ask your kiddo to name, what are 5 things you see right now? And then you name 5 things you see. And then either 4 things you hear or 4 things you feel. It all depends on whether there's a lot of noise or not. Then 3 things either that you hear or you feel, whichever one you didn't do for 4. And then 2 things you can smell, which can be really tough actually, especially if you're in a room. And then if you're not eating anything at the time or you're not chewing gum, then 1 thing you love. And it's really fun because it really brings everyone into the present moment. And it can also really connect you with that physicality of being in a body in a very present moment way.
Yeah, and just taking like a mental break. I feel like
Yeah.
it's just taking like a mental break for a minute.
Yeah.
My toddler this morning wanted to light a candle at breakfast. So I think like that was helping him mentally somehow. He's maybe seen me light a candle or say it's relaxing. And he's like, let's light a candle at breakfast.
I love that.
So, and that could be, I was just, when you said smell, I was like, maybe he just wanted to smell something different, like wanted a different sense or ambiance. Who knows what he wanted, but it was pretty funny. So I'm looking to see if we're getting any questions. Again, you can ask your questions in the Facebook feed. I'm with Michelle Fury. She's a licensed professional counselor and a yoga therapist. So she's got a lot of expertise on keeping us calm, mellow, mindful. In relation to the kids thing, someone did comment with young kids, try to make their day as normal as possible. Get up, get ready as if you're going to school.
Yes.
I think that's even helping me as well. Like working from home, still get up and at least brush your hair and maybe change pajamas at least.
Yeah, actually, I'm really glad you mentioned that, Stephanie, because the normalcy thing, keeping things as normal as possible. And what's so funny is I had a family who they had this, they're very gung-ho, very smart people. And so they put their kids on a very rigid schedule. That's not a great idea. But keeping a sense of normalcy of getting up at the same time and role modeling is really important. Because actually, Stephanie, I am really wondering if your toddler, in fact, was thinking about a time, not consciously, but thought about a time that you put out a candle and then he did the same thing. So when we role model by, we get up, we get out of our pajamas and brush our hair. I know, because I've been seeing clients all week, I dress as if I was going to go in the office, except for the slippers. Other than that, everything else is what I would wear and how I'd present myself. And I found that really has helped my state of mind a lot.
Yeah, and slippers are a comfort item. So mentally, I would think that would help too for someone that's maybe a little stressed out. Well, at least I get to wear my slippers today. At least I get to, let's think of it as a positive of being in our houses. You talked about seeing clients all week. I wanted to ask you about how telemedicine is going, virtual visits. Talk to us a little bit about how that works. So if someone does need help, they can still get the help that they need. If they're anxious, if they're depressed, if they need to talk to a professional. Talk about how that has been working so far.
Yeah, well, it's been a steep learning curve, but actually it's been really fun and exciting to open the door to this. And so I would say, my guess would be that a lot of people are worried about, is my insurance going to cover it? And what I have noticed as a provider, and what you and I were talking about too, is that actually most insurance companies, if they have restrictions on plans, have waived all those restrictions right now. So if you're not sure, definitely want to call your insurance company. But we, on our end as providers here in the Denver metro area, we're all getting hip to it and talking to each other about how's it going for you. So I know on the end of finding a provider, probably your insurance is going to cover it. And most of the Denver metro folks, we're kind of rallying together and figuring out what our resources are. So a lot of therapists, if they weren't doing telehealth before, are now. So it won't be that hard and so the other thing is, when you call your insurance to find out, do they pay for it, which probably they will, then they can tell you, oh, here are some in-network, providers, some in-network therapists that you can talk to. And so you can do kind of 2 for 1. And there's one thing that I've really enjoyed. So nothing replaces the in-person exchange that happens. But one of the fun things for me is seeing kiddos and teens in their homes and families, even adults. And they're showing me their dogs and the artwork, their SpongeBob art. and I get to see the tapestries and how do they decorate their rooms. And it's really exciting having, known a lot of these kids for a long time, or even if I had a kid for one session, to see what is their life like? How do they live? And you just get this whole other layer of who are they? And that's been really fun for me. And I think it's been fun for them too, to kind of
Yeah, and even just watching TV in the news right now, you're like, oh, that's what that person's house looks like. That's what their office looks like. It's a very interesting time that we're living in, for sure.
it is
And
so weird.
yeah, and providers like yourself have had to adjust fairly quickly. We've been talking about virtual medicine, telehealth for a while, but now it's like, well, now you got to do it. So,
and quite honestly, I so much, because I am a yoga therapist and I really do like that, in-person physical connection, I had just kind of put it off to the side that I don't need to get that. So within a week, I've taken trainings, I've made sure I have all the right platforms. That's the other thing, to make sure that the platform, meaning like whether it's Zoom or DoxyMe, whatever that therapist is using, is something that's HIPAA compliant, so that you know that your information is safe.
okay.
And so that's something that we're all getting hip to, like, how does that work? And making sure we're using the most secure platforms.
Yeah, that's something I hadn't really thought about yet. So are you using Zoom? Are you using something else? Is it?
Yeah, phone. Actually, it's amazing. There's a lot of insurance companies that are accepting phone because they recognize that not all people have a video monitor, or I don't know, a phone that will support, video, or laptop. So you can do either. But I've been using Zoom. There's something called DoxyMe, Doxy.me, which is also really good. I think there's a few others, but those are the two I know that are HIPAA compliant. And then there's no problem with a phone.
Yeah,
That's
good
cool.
old phone conversation. Someone did ask in our feed, so I put on the post, being home with your family, kind of stuck with everyone, some of the tension that's going on. But someone had asked, what about being home alone? So that's that's the opposite end of the spectrum, is being stuck in your house by yourself.
Yes.
What is the suggestions for those people that are home alone?
Connecting at least daily with friends, family, getting outside as much as you can. Because I do work with some people who, they not only, because they travel themselves, the job they have usually has them traveling all over the place. So part of them being home alone, they're used to traveling all over the place, and it's hard to just sit there and then be alone. So they don't even have pets. One woman was like, I don't even have a plant, because she's always traveling. And so for her, connecting, FaceTiming, it's kind of incredible, all of the resources we have to do video chat. And so I really encourage them to have a live conversation with an actual human being.
And this might be a tough one, but someone also asked earlier, they're living with an alcoholic that's hard to get away from, and is maybe, controlling things in their house, in their situation. Any advice for someone living in a couple situation with an alcoholic?
Yeah, or really any dysfunctional behavior that is intruding. That person, I would really recommend them get on the line with their insurance company and figure out how they can get some therapy, because it's tough. Like you said, it's tough even if you don't have any mental health diagnosis whatsoever. If you're living with someone in that situation, that you get support and you don't feel alone, because that's the biggest problem. We know that loneliness is a very big problem for a lot of people. And so connecting, having that daily connection with other human beings in a live way, and getting, healthy support. So if that person doesn't feel like they can reach out to a counselor, then at the very least, reaching out to a friend or family member and asking that person, hey, during this time, can we connect on a regular basis? So really reaching out for that help and getting outside as much as possible, because the stay-at-home order is not about not going outside. And I have to keep reminding even the teens that I work with, you don't have to take the dog for a walk. You could just go for a walk. And they look at me like, what? Yes, you should do that. Try it. So I think getting outside, keeping that normalcy and structure that we talked about, and connecting with other human beings who are supportive.
Right. And I did want to say too, for anyone that is underinsured or displaced right now, affected by some of the shutdowns, we have some friends at KHESED, it's KHESED, I hope I'm saying that right, Wellness, and they're providing 500 free video and phone mental health therapy sessions. So I can put that information in the feed as well, but I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that today because that's another resource as well for people to get some help.
I'm glad you said that, Stephanie, because I know that the group private practice that I work with, Foundations Family Counseling and Caring Heart Counseling, those two sister companies are also going to be expanding their Medicaid offerings. So they could call one of those two as well.
Right.
Who could get on Medicaid.
Great.
And
we'll put that in our comments as well for you guys to get on her website, on their website, those practice websites.
Yeah. So my experience thus far is that the insurance companies and that are even governmental agencies in charge of mental health are really doing as much work as fast as they can to help support people, because we know that this is tough and it does bring up this whole problem of loneliness and aloneness. And we want people to reach out. We want them to look for support. And then again, back to that person who asked about the alcoholic person who's in their face, someone like that, someone who's alcoholic can end up being very negative, like no one wants to talk to you, no one wants to hear from you. And that is not true. It's really important that people reach out and find that supportive ear and supportive shoulder, so to speak, to lean on, because we all need support. We're social beings by nature.
Yeah, and I think what we're all just struggling with is we really don't know how long we'll be like this. So I think that's part of the, so just we keep saying all week, take it day by day, do the things you need to do, try to live a little bit of a schedule still, but yeah, just take it day by day.
That's why I brought up the whole meditation retreat and endurance sports. So even when you choose to go on a meditation retreat or you choose to do a half marathon, there's usually some moment in that span where you're like, why did I decide this was a good idea? And when is it going to be over? I've never done a half marathon where I didn't go, when is this going to be over? And I know when it's going to be over, but it helps us, things like that, any practices you have that help you to kind of endure in a way that's peaceful and calm, and that structure you talked about, it's good to kind of tap into that. So for people who aren't into mindfulness, that's just not their jam, it's good for them to think about what other ways, what other things in life have helped them when they had to endure. And so endurance sports are one, but there's just lots of ways, and just connecting with others. And if you don't have any of your own, and finding out what your friends are doing and getting lots of ideas from others and that connection.
Right. Again, I want to tell everyone we were joined today by Michelle Fury. She's a licensed professional counselor, yoga therapist. We need to start kind of wrapping things up, letting her go. But I want to give you a chance to give any kind of final tips that you would like to share. She gave us some tips on being calm, some tips on being closer and closer quarters with our family for longer amounts of time, tips on if you are living at home alone right now, some tips for that. If there's anything else that you wanted to share before I let you go.
I wanted to just circle back around to this idea of touch and go, of course you're feeling stressed. There are times when it'll feel just fine, and there'll be moments when people are feeling down. So just touch into that. Give yourself permission to go, I don't feel so great right now. I feel kind of irritated right now, or whatever it is. And then doing something that helps you with whatever it is you're feeling, whether it's doing that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or connecting with a friend, or getting outside and just using your body.
I like it. Even inside, getting to move, because today it's kind of cold out, but yeah.
Gross.
Doing some kind of movement daily that's out of your office chair, off of your couch or something, if that is what helps you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let Michelle go. Again, I wanted to let you guys know that if you have a medical question, you can call our 9 Health Neighbors line. We did post that in the comments. It's 303-698-4455. A medical professional, one of our medical volunteers, will give you a call back and answer your questions. So a real life person that you'll get to talk to. We're also working closely with several partners right now to deliver you content. One is Well Advised. They offer tools to make Medicare and healthcare spending less confusing. You can manage your care needs and all of that for free at welladvised.com. And Michelle, once again, tell me who the practice you're with, and we'll put that info as well in the comments.
Yeah, there's 2 sister companies, Foundations Family Counseling and Caring Heart Counseling.
All right, so you can contact them as well, because yeah, we all need some help right now, maybe. And if you need to reach out to someone, that is a good place to start. Also on 9healthfair.org, click on our e-tools, and we have a couple free mental health screenings you can take as well for anxiety and depression, and be connected to some free in-person virtual help. All right, Michelle, I'll let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. And next week, we're going to go live every day next week as well on Facebook. We're going to be talking about ways you can help right now. So maybe you're at home and you have some extra time. What are some ways that you can help with the situation going on right now? And I think that'll help mentally as well, just to empower people and give them a little bit more purpose if they need something else. But all right, Michelle, thank you.